we're doing Rambam every week inside. We get the actual Rambam in the vein again. So you can see what's going on. Everybody please take a paper. You'll let me know when to start.
It's already running.
Oh, it's running already. Okay. Everybody can grab a paper. We have the papers of the actual thing. And Grada this week, it works out better than usual to have it. It's important. Okay, so we're in the middle of learning the halachis. We're in Perek Achadas, so we're in the 11th Perek of the Heilige Rambam. And the last thing we're learning with is halacha gimel. So Ba'atzim, we're going to be doing today halacha gimel again, with the beginning of halacha, the first half of halacha dalid. And somebody asked for more elaboration with the Maisim, with Bar Kochve, and so that's what we're going to be discussing today. So he says in halacha gimel, the al yal al daitcha, do not think in your mind that Moshiach has to do is to bring the dead to life. He has to do all kinds of miracles and wonders. This is totally not true. Totally not true. I think the next Perek is even going to say that it's Tipshim who say this, and he said that already in Hochesh Tshuva. Totally not a misunderstanding of Moshiach. And what's his raya? He brings a raya. He brings a proof. Rabbi Akiva was a Chacham God, a great from Chacham Mishnah, and he personally carried the armory and the Nesekelov of Nesekelov, not the mikveh. It means like his sword. Nesekelov is an expression where you're Nesekelov. You carry his. That's what I mean. That's where the expression comes from on Shulchan Aruch, the Nesekelim. So Ben Kassi, he calls him Pen Kuziba Melech. He said about him that he is Hamelech HaMashiach. Him and Ochol Chachmei thought that he was Mashiach. And when did they know that he wasn't Mashiach? When he was killed. And why was he killed? Because of the Aveinus of Bnei Yisrael. Right? Now, we weren't Zeicha to the Gula. When he was killed, that's when they knew that he wasn't Mashiach. And what's his raya? They didn't ask from him. What's his raya? Lagabi, what he talks about in this halacha. He says they didn't ask from the Chum didn't ask from him. No wonders, nothing. And then he concludes, and this we discussed last time. He says that Torah is eternal. And we asked, what's the connection? And without getting into the whole Hasbara Nochamol again, the bottom line of it was that L'shitas Harambam, if you would suggest that the only way Mashiach could come is by changing things in the world, and by the world not running normal, that's a suggestion that the Torah is not really eternal, because the Torah as it exists and the world as it exists, and the Geder of Olam, the very categorization, the very definition of the world is Olam Kimin Hagi, the way nature or whatever. So if this world as we know it cannot be a Torah world, cannot receive Hashem, the only way it can become a Torah world, Mashiach, is through shinuyim happening and through miracles and wonders. That's a stira to the etzim inyan of Torah. Fine, that's how the Rebbe was masber that line. To continue the saga of Bar Kochva and what we learned from the story, let's go to the beginning of Halacha Daled. So he says, he fears always, what do I know about Mashiach based on Bar Kochva and based on what he wrote in the beginning of the Perek. Remember, what we have here essentially is two items of information. We have the beginning of the Perek where he said what the Geder of Mashiach is. What's the Geder of Mashiach? What's the Emunah in Mashiach? Be'etzim, the Emunah of Mashiach is the Emunah in Torah. It's the Emunah that the Torah that Hashem envisioned for the world will be implemented, Hashem's plan. So if you believe in the Torah, you believe that Hashem will implement the Torah in the world. That's the Geder of Mashiach. So to bring back all Taryag mitzvahs and even mitzvahs we never had before, and b'shleimus v'chulu, as you can watch in previous shiurim. So he says, he continues now, V'im made melech mibeis David, if a king arises from the house of David, and he is the biggest goyin of the generation, he's hoige, and he studies in Torah, he meditates in Torah and learns Torah, and it's oitzik and mitzvahs, like David HaMelech, as written in Torah Shabbat Shabbat Peh, he accepts the entire Torah. And he forces, these are all things we discussed in Shurim a very long time, Batsim a long time ago, so each geder of what this is, but he says, he forces Klal Yisrael. forces all Yidden to go in the Torah and to fix the breaches in the walls of Torah, which the Rebbe is masber in a letter. Going in the Torah means if somebody's not going in the Torah to start going in the Torah. Frei Yid, come a from a Yid. L'chazik bitchos, to be a from Yid, to stay strong and be a from Yid, to strengthen the walls and the breaches, that the from Yidden should stay inspired and connected. And he protects the Jewish people to the point, of course. And he's fighting Milchamis. He doesn't say how to what point, but he's fighting Milchamis Hashem, which is an expression that Rambam used many times in Hilchos Malachim. And what it's the job of a king to protect the people, make sure that they're able to study Torah b'menuchas hanefesh and menuchas haguf. So he says, Hadeza b'cheskas shehu Mashiach. Somebody who does this has the chazak, has the presumption of being Mashiach. Then continues the Rambam. Asavit tzliach in the previous things. If he was matzliach, what do I mean matzliach? In other words, you're not just trying to be Yachiv Kol Yisrael. You successfully got the entire Jewish people to keep Torah and mitzvahs. Everybody is 100% Bali Tshuva, Gans Klal Yisrael. That's him Asavit tzliach. And it also means that what? That he won the wars. He's not fighting the wars. He won the wars. He's going to say in a second. We're going to see there's a shtickle added. And after this, Ubana Migdash Mimkaimi, he builds the Beis HaMikdash. And then he gathers in the Jews, all 14 million Jews to Eretz Yisrael, to Yerushalayim, HaKodesh. Hadei the Mashiach bevadai. Then you know this is Mashiach. And then what he's going to do afterwards, I'll let you know a piece of information, Zok the Rambam, from the Nevi'im and from Torah and from everything. He's going to be Mesaken Esailam Kula. He's going to fix the entire world. Lavis Hashem B'yach to serve Hashem together. I'm going to transform all the nations to speak a clear tongue and to serve Hashem in one purpose. You'll notice in your Rambams, it seems to end here. But that's because of censors that the Christians put on the thing and other groups. But in the version of Yemen and in Alta versions of the Rambam, there's an extension. You can find it in the bottom of the page, right? And the page which says Perek Shnei Masar, all the way in the bottom there's a star. And you see the star? Yeah, it's a line gemaisa. It goes a whole arich to have it printed in the Prim, actually, in the Rambam La'am. A whole arich is about Yashkin, about Muhammad. So we're not going to get to that shtickle today, but the Haschol. He says, you remember I just read the words, if Mashiach is Matzliach. And the Rambam adds, he wins the war. In other words, in order to be Becheskas Mashiach, you don't have to have won the war already. You have to be someone who's fighting the fight. And then, but then, in order to continue being his Gedder of Mashiach, he has to be Matzliach. He has to make all Yidden frum, and he has to win the wars. Continues the Rambam and says, if he wasn't Matzliach until this point, or if he was killed, then you know he's not the one that the Torah promised. Someone mentioned before, Bar Kochva is a melech. You see right here, he's referring to Bar Kochva again as a melech. He says, rather, who is this person? He's Kechol Malchi Beis David, Hashleimim V'Hakshedim Shemeisu. He's like all the past Malchi Beis David, the perfect, the beautiful, and the Kshedim who died. Hashem only put him up in order to test the public and the Rabbim, whether they still going to wait for Mashiach. And the great people, maskilim, will stumble in order to test the Jewish people, levarer uvelalbein ad eis kates, to whiten them and to purify them until the moment comes, ki oid lamoyed, because the time is yet to come. So this is where we're going to stop until this point. Okay, so a shtickle controversial topic I want to talk about. Mashiach ben Amesim. Sehr interessante Meise. Okay, just as Akdamas, so nobody catches a heart attack. I'll tell you my shita from the outset in the Rambam. We always want to speak theoretically in the Rambam and Halacha. Most of Lubavitch learns a certain way. The Ich verstehe Pshad, you'll see in a second, but the bottom line is, it seems Baruch Achamba to me, that the Rambam holds Mashiach cannot come in Amesim. However, it seems very, very clear that the other Poiskim, the Ravid, and the Kesef Mishnah, and the Migdalois, and the Lechem Mishnah, all disagree with the Rambam in this prat. Uvemela, so we said Baruch Hashem. Okay, so that's going to be where we're heading. So now, let me present Shittas Rambam Ba'atzmai. Okay, when the Rambam says a statement, you can look inside if you want. He says, Im loy hitzliach ad koi. If Mashiach is not matzliach until this point, oy narag or he's killed. Right. So the shaila is, what does it mean if he's not matzliach ad koi? Right. So Frandiv is willing to that it means that it's segeit nisht. No one's fighting his wars. People stop listening to him. It's not being so matzliach the way he would like it to be. Uvemela, you know he's not Mashiach. Oy narag, or a new scenario that he's killed. The problem with that, of course, is that Rambam. Everyone ends up dying eventually. There's no reason for him to say, "Im lo yitzliach ad koi." Obviously, if you didn't bring Moshiach, then you didn't bring Moshiach. It's as simple as he didn't bring Moshiach. You're saying a statement of fact. Im lo yitzliach ad koi is not mois of anything. And second of all, why would the Rambam make such a t'nai ikri? He's not being matzliach, so he can't be Moshiach. Maybe he's going to start being matzliach tomorrow. Maybe he's been working hard now for a few months, for a couple of years. Give it another few years, he'll be more matzliach. The Rambam has to say about him, if he doesn't not matzliach until this point, he's not Mashiach. Right? The pashtus that Rambam means, if before he reaches the point of kibbutz golius to the finish mark, he passes away, until that point, he's not Mashiach. The word ad koi is also very meduik according to the Rambam, because the word ad koi, until this point, the shittas haramim and Pirush HaMishnayos, is that Mashiach B'chal is going to pass away. After Mashiach comes, after living for hundreds of years, whatever it is, eventually Mashiach passes away. The Rambam doesn't hold of Chaim Nitzchi and Kiyodua, the famous machlokes. The Rambam says, if Mashiach doesn't make it to this point, Im lo yitzliach ad koi, fine. That's point number one. Now, 1 second. Very good. We're going to discuss that in a split second. Very good question. And this is what everybody discusses. So there's another point also. If you look further, he says, "V'harehu kechol malchus beis David hashleimim v'haksherim shemesu." If he's dafke meduyik, that he's dafke nerag, and dafke when the guy's killed, and not when he dies, why does he have to add, "V'harehu"? This person is kechol malchus beis David hashleimim v'haksherim shemesu. In other words, shemesu is already the reason why he can't be Mashiach. Shemesu, oib meznifter geworden. Mesu, it's Sheinish Mashiach. And furthermore, it's Lashon Yachid. That I'm talking about both cases. Im lo yitzliach ad koi. Oy neharag. Biyudua she'enoi. He's not the one sheftichal of Teda. V'harehu. Referring to both cases. K'chol malchus beis David hashleim v'aksherim shemesu. In other words, he's talking about someone shemeis. The pashtus. So now the obvious question which bothers everybody, which doesn't seem to make sense, is why would you write two scenarios? You die or you're killed. If you're killed, it means you're dead, right? If you're killed, it means you're dead. Fakert. The fact that he says you're killed is mashma that the other thing can't be talking about death, because nerag, dafke a scenario of nerag. Omen is doch mazbir, that people who say that it makes sense why nerag, because it goes against the inyan of being Mashiach. It means other people could be menatzech over you. They could kill you. It goes against the nitzech chalomes. You were killed by other forces, but if you stam die, this is nish. Okay, asvara. Like we said, it's nish mistaber b'chlal and the whole shaynis. But haka, it's a studendik kasha. Why a nerag? Now the fact that the Rambam can give two good dugmois for something is nish compelled. But the problem is, if you hear it's not mamish two dugmois, it's one dugma, just repeating it in two ways. Now we know that Rambam's derech is to write when the Rambam has a raya from somewhere, he writes that raya, right, where he got it from. So the Rambam's getting this from Bar Kochva. He says, when did they know that he wasn't Mashiach? When he was killed. So he's writing this scenario, but it still doesn't explain it, because Nerag, Itaki, you want to write the scenario that Rambam want to write his mucker, so to speak. He wants to give the scenario. But the problem is, Sheinichlal, once you write mess, there's nothing added. So the Pashtus, I would say, there's a Pashta Enfert to them. Because just like there's a Maila there's more of a reason to think that he's not Mashiach when Nerag, because Nerag is a stira to him being Mashiach, there's also a svara to think that he's not Mashiach because mace. In other words, Nerag is more of a reason for me to still continue to consider the guy Mashiach, the person Mashiach. Why? So there's a very interesting medrash with Bar Kochva. The medrash says that Andreyanus, who was the Yamach Shemei V'Zichrei, Shchik Atzomes, he was the emperor who wiped out Beitar v'chulu v'chulu. And when they killed him, he said, who is the one who killed Bar Kochva? Now him is given a pella, because Bar Kochva was a miraculous person. It was like Mashiach. So he said, who is the guy? So a guy came and said it was me. So he says, I don't believe you. Come show me where you killed him. So they went and they saw that it's surrounded by massive, an ochon, like a scorpion, a snake. They couldn't touch, the armies of him couldn't penetrate, couldn't get to the body. So he said, very interesting, right? He said it must have been the Eibishter who killed him. It wasn't you who killed him. And he said this lashon. He says, "Ilu loya lekei kotli." If his Eibishter, if his God wouldn't have killed him, l'dein man haviyachalei. No one who would have been able to kill him. No one would have been able to kill him. And he said the famous pasuk, "Im loy kitfuram mechuram." Their tzuram must have given them away. It wasn't us who had the power over him. And under the verter, people have bechira chavshus. Matach you can't mean that if he's killed by somebody else, that's mitzad dur bechira chavshus. But the Eibishter still wants the person to be Moshiach. When they live at their mamshach zayin, says I'm Moshiach. When the guy dies, that means the Eibishter was machlit, the person passed away. Right? So there's more raya when a person, you could say svara both way. That nerag, he can't be Moshiach. But I could also say the opposite. Nerag, he could still be Moshiach. Versus the outside force, people have bechira chavshus. He got killed, but he's still Moshiach. But if he dies, the Eibishter is the one who killed him. Just like. That's true. It's a good teshayla, but let me give you a dugma. There's a letter of the Rebbe, there's a brief of the Rebbe, where somebody asked him on the Arachaim HaKadosh. The Arachaim HaKadosh says that the Shvatim threw Yosef into the pit because it's snakes and scorpions, and they didn't want to have human beings have bechira chavshus. Snakes and scorpions don't have bechira chavshus. They didn't want to take achrayus, right? So the guy asked the Rebbe that, according to what the Alter Rebbe writes in the Geras HaKodesh, that even what one human being does to another human being, it's hashkacha pratis. No one has koyach over somebody else's life, right? The famous Geras HaKodesh, on the person who's hurt kfar nigzer Allah ben Hashayim. So the Rebbe answered him. The Rebbe told him the first answer the Rebbe told him is gavra karamis. In other words, was fekst du savay shittas? The Rebbe says the Alter Rebbe has his shitta, and the Arachaim HaKadosh has his shitta, that a human being with bechira chavshus could hurt another human being. Akopanim is nishkin kashrus kan abschlagen as avart. There's a svara to zogin that if a person passes away, that's the gres deraya that they're nesh Mashiach. Or but nedag, maybe they can still be Mashiach. Umeilu dafen zogin beid the fallen, zok the Rambam beid the fallen. Or bepashtus, the Rambam says both scenarios. But bepashtus, kavanas Rambam is this. Now, I want to move on to get to the key. What?
Doesn't say anything about me.
Where?
Rambam. He says if.
So we were just discussing that. I don't want to get back to. I don't want to repeat it again. I don't want to repeat it again. Yeah. You were here from the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I said a few svaras. No. I said a few svaras. You don't have to agree. It's fine. Kopanim. I'm saying 90% of Lubavitch says one way. So I'm saying ich sage a chiddush, aber es nicht kein chiddush. Es ledaiti es dvarim pshutim. Kopanim. Now l'chayda Moshiach ben Ameisim is nicht kein dvar pella. You find the moli midrashim. You can find moli in yarnim of them. Right? So why does Taka Lubavitch take this very personal to say that the Rambam holds that Moshiach will come in Ameisim? Kiyadua, because our shitta, for example, against Sionim is that stimmt nicht mit the Rambam, right? And the Rebbe says there's halacha, and you have to follow halacha. But mainly by us, it's very personal what the Rambam holds, right? The problem is, if you read all those letters of the Rebbe, Lagabi the Sionim, whether it's a Schalta de Gula, whether the Medina is the Schalta de Gula, you'll see that the Rebbe never says it's not the Rambam shitta. The Rebbe says it's nicht the Rambam shitta, von dem was die allen beforschen. Agree with the Rambam, and nobody says a word, right? The Rebbe says, doch haraya, that they're all masking, that's the Kloli Rambam. So if the Kesef Mishnah, who's doch the Beis Yosef, and the Ravid, and the Rebbe brings, and the Radvaz, and the Migdalois, the Rebbe says, Meilus, it's kfirah to stam zogin that the Eretz Yisrael is Mashiach, but over here, let me show you something very pashut. Everybody argues with the Rambam. So I'll show you something very interesting. Look in Halacha Gimel. I want you to pay close attention to Halacha Gimel. He says, he's telling a story in Halacha Gimel. The discussion in Halacha Gimel is Legabe, the Shaila, whether Mashiach has to do Eisus U'Moifsim. And he says, how do I know he doesn't have to bring Eisus U'Moifsim? So he brings a Maisa from Rabbi Akiva with Bar Kuziva. And he says, V'dim ohu v'chol chachmei doirei shu ha-melech ha-Mashiach. Him and the Chachmei Doirei thought that he was Melech ha-Mashiach. Ad shenereg ba'avonos. Now, the halacha about Mashiach who gets killed is in the next halacha. He should have just continued. V'loi shoalu mimenu chachamim loi ois v'loi moifes. V'zok tekiven shenereg loi noidel hem she'enoi. And if he's trying to paskin you already the halacha now, that you should know that when you're nereg, you know he's not Mashiach, he should have said, Kivan shenereg noida she'enoi. It's known that he's not Mashiach. It's a chelik for the sipper. Noida lohem she'enoi. It was known to them that he's nish Mashiach. And under the verter, the Rambam is telling you a maisa, and then he fears always which halachos we know from this maisa. He tells over the Maisa of Bar Kochva, the Noch der Zelter. Therefore I know from the Maisa from Bar Kochva that you don't have to ask Mashiach to do Eisum Meifus. I know from the fact that Noid Alehem, that Rambam they knew that he wasn't Mashiach anymore from when he was killed, and that's where he gets the halacha. He continues in halacha Dalid. If Mashiach is killed, he can't be Mashiach. Where did he get it from? The same Maisa. The Tzolta Maisa. Okay, the Tzolta Maisa from Darton. Before I prove that more, I want you to look in the Ravid right away. Look in the Ravid on the halacha. Ben Kuziba said, Ich bin Mashiach. The Chachamim sent to check, could he smell and judge with his cell of Maisa? When they saw that he couldn't do with Oisu Moifsim of Mashiach supposed to do, of judging through smelling miraculous in Yonim, they killed him. So what's happened for the Ravid Tzvei in Yonim? Erstens, he has to do Oisus Umayvsim. Choylik straight up on the Rambam. Oisus Umayvsim darf ben Yatan. You kill him, Ibnish. What are you saying, you're Mashiach? Zweitens, was like the Ravid, when did they know he wasn't Mashiach? When Nerag. Zicher is nicht. When did they know he wasn't Mashiach? They knew he wasn't Mashiach the moment he couldn't do Oisus Umayvsim. The whole raya of the Rambam fell to harap. There's no raya anymore. The Rambam has a raya. The Rambam says, Noid Lahem, they knew She'enai. Now, Be'etzim, where did the Rambam get it from? That Noid Lahem She'enai. So, there's Makaitis you could bring for where the Rambam got it from. One of a Pashat place is the fact that when he was killed, they called him Ben Kuziba. Ben Kuziba means the disappointment, meaning he's Nish Mashiach. Wie hast du gewusst? Why did they name him right then? Because maybe I gave Yazai Mashiach. No, over there, not Mashen gewusst. Right? This is Derech HaTzachos, Be'etzim. According to the Rambam, there's a discussion about Ben Bar Kochva. Was his real name Bar Kochva or Bar Kuziba? Because some people want to say his real name was Bar Kochva. Why did they call him Ben Kuziba? Because he was a disappointment. He was a failure. He wasn't Mashiach. Some people say his real name was Ben Kuziba. They called him Bar Kochva because Dorach Koichav Miyakev. What did we learn earlier in the Rambam? The Rambam darshans the pasuk Dorach Koichav Miyakev that is going on David. Other Yishayim say Dorach Koichav Miyakev is going on Mashiach. The Rambam learns it's going on David. So it's more mistaber according to the Rambam that Bar Kochva was his real name. Ben Kuziba is the name they gave him when he was killed. Akaponim, stam derech hatzachos. Geschmack of word, can man sagen. But what's that? Akaponim, the Rambam is a raya that Mashiach can't come in a Meisim, it's in the Maisa Ben Kochva, just like he learned his Maisa of Eis V'lei Meifus. Let me tell you Nachmer, it's Dvarim Pshutim Betzim. Why? Because think of Shittas Rambam. According to the Rambam, the notion of Mashiach coming through Oisus U'Meivsim, that it has to be Oisus U'Meivsim, according to the Rambam, that's Tipshus, the Rambam calls it. The Rambam says Mashiach is not here to do Oisus U'Meivsim. Furthermore, how does the Rambam conclude the halacha? V'ikar hadvarim kochaim. The main Indian is this: if you think the Mashiach has to come dafke through Oisus U'Meivsim, then you're taking away from the nitzchis of Torah. This is Shittas Rambam, which the Ravid Beferish disagrees with. Another week we'll discuss the Havana of the Ravid. It's a beautiful machlekes. But the Rambam learns his Shitta that if you learn that it has to be Oisus U'Meivsim in order for Mashiach to come, it's a stira to Torah. There's no moifis gadol mizeh that Mashiach be'atzmai is going to be in this. He's going to tchias hameisim and is going to be goyal klal Yisrael. Right? According to the Rambam, sadnish kein art b'chlal the ganze meise. The Ravid's fakir. The Rambam sadnish kein art, and the Ravid makes no sense to say Mashiach doesn't have to do Oisus U'Meivsim. B'chlal the Ravid has no problem. Anything miraculous about Mashiach fakir. If the guy is not miraculous, you kill him immediately, according to the Shittas Ravid. Okay, continuing, moving right along in this sugya. So if you look in, let's look in the Kesef Mishnah. Who does he agree with in this machlekes? He says, if you look in the Kesef Mishnah, the Kesef Mishnah brings b'divrei haravid emes. Divrei haravid emes. The Ravid is correct. It wasn't pshat that he was killed and then they knew he wasn't Mashiach. It wasn't pshat that he didn't have to do Eisus U'Meivsim. He says fakir. The Ravid is zok richtig. And he says he says that there's another medrash which seems to be like the Rambam. So he says that the Betzim, they're arguing, if you look in the Kesef Mishnah, he says they're arguing the famous machlekes whether Ein Ben Olam Hazeh L'Meis HaMashiach the Shubad Malchus Bovad. Are we expecting Oisus U'Meivsim? Are we expecting miracles to happen? Yat Sindish. Now, okay, we have a few more minutes. I have a raya muchachas that to this vart that the Rishonim learn that the shaila of whether Mashiach could come in Hamesim is totally on the Maisa Vimela and Pshat in the Maisa of Bar Kochva. Mayrayim Uchrachas is from the Radvaz. If you look in the Radvaz, first of all, in the second tidits of the Radvaz, he says he agrees with the Kesef Mishnah. He says, Inami Agadis Chalukes Hein. He says it's two different Agadis, they arguing with each other about what happened. Fine. Mamash the Kesef Mishnah. And that's how the Migdal always learns, how the Lacha Mishnah learns. A totally different Maisa than the Rambam. The Rambam learns a Maisa. He says two things that happened in the Maisa, and then he learns two halachas from it. What are the two halachas? That Mashiach doesn't have to do an Eisus Umeifis, and Mashiach can't come in Ameisim. Okay, they pulled the rug out from under his feet. They don't hold of his whole Yesod, of the whole Indian. For them, Mashiach is miraculous. So if you look at the Radvaz, in the first tidits of the Radvaz, if you look closely at the Radvaz, I don't know if I could read it inside, but it's a shver Radvaz because why is it shver? Because the obvious question was Varfsich and the Eigen is what does the Radvaz want? The Radvaz says that everybody agrees. I'll say it outside. The Radvaz says that even Rabbi Akiva agrees that you need to do miracles. In other words, who's he agreeing with? The Ravid, right? Right? Kipashat, right? He agrees with the Ravid that Mashiach has to do. So then what's he coming to say? He makes a whole scenario. He says there are the following. He says there was a machlokes between the Chachamim about whether he's Mashiach or not. And Rabbi Akiva felt that he was Mashiach and other people. And then he says some people tested him. And he says, Rabbi Akiva, Shema leibala fun of din. Maybe no din came in front of him. He says maybe he never had a chance to test Ben Kuziba yet. Okay. Other people did test him. He didn't hear about the test. He didn't believe the test. What's the Radvaz? What's he deichik? Who told him that he has to enter such a deichak? And he says then until he was killed, and then Rabbi Akiva knew that he wasn't Mashiach. But the Chayre, based on what we're saying, it's very posh what the Radvaz is coming to say. The Radvaz is coming to be metavich that there's no machlokes between the different midrashim. Like you're going to see, he continues on also. He says that the Ravid is right, but it doesn't mean that they killed him. It means that they just stopped supporting him and the Goyim killed him. He's trying to be metavich everything. Right? The problem is, how is he metavich the medrash that the Rambam quotes that they knew that he wasn't Mashiach when he was killed? What do you do with Hazar medrash? That right? There's no way to be metavich that. So the way he's metavich, he comes with a doichik tekepshat, and he comes up with a new shitta. What? You get him shot in that. That what? I thought you would say. That what? You said the sins of the people. That what? You said the avoidance of the nation. It doesn't matter that I'm saying l'mayin of Kamina. The person himself. The Rambam's trying to point out that he wasn't a false Mashiach. He was a failed Mashiach. Right. So he's saying, we weren't zoichet to bring the Gula. That's like the Rambam. Fashtus. Right? I'm pointing out a different word. If you look in the Radvaz is coming to try to be metaritz that everything can work out. That really the halacha is v'derayvid that you have to do eisus u'meifsim. And the halacha and the medrash that the Rambam seems to have that they knew he wasn't Mashiach when he was killed is because Rabbi Akiva didn't yet hear about the test or he didn't have a chance to test yet. And then if he would have found out, but yeah, that's when he knew he wasn't Mashiach. So he wants to bring everybody together. The problem is it's a doichik dikepshat and nobody learns like that, including himself a second later. He says, I got this chaluk saying that he's trying to answer for the Rambam. So he wants to say that the Rambam, that the story, everything happened in the story. In other words, what happened? The Goyim are the ones who killed him. The Jews didn't support him. The Jews didn't support him. What about the prat that the Rambam says that they knew that he wasn't Mashiach when he was killed? Yeah. What do you do with that? So he says, because Rabbi Akiva didn't have a chance to test him yet. Other Chachamim tested him yet, and they knew he wasn't Mashiach. They paskined he wasn't Mashiach. Rabbi Akiva didn't have a chance personally to administer the test. He was busy carrying his kelim. Fine. Uvemela Azak there. When did he know when he was killed? So he wants to bring everything. So in other words, the Radvaz comes with a naya shita. Yeah. That you have to do eisus u'meifsim and you can't come in amesim. Okay. That's the Radvaz shita. But the Radvaz, in order to get to that shita, what's vilcha bring a raya from the Radvaz? In order to get to that shita, you have to be mechadish a chiddush nifla because he's trying to bring everybody together. In other words, what? if I don't hold of the Maisa as told over by the Rambam, if I'm on the Ravid's team, if I'm on the Radvaz's Teretz Sheni Dika team, if I'm on the Migdal Oiz's team, if I'm on the Lechem Mishnah's team, and the Kesef Mishnah, the Beis Yosef, the Baal HaShulchan Aruch says, Kachi Hoemes Vida Ravid, that it's Dvarim Pshutim so I want to conclude with this, okay? Not only does basically all the Mefarshim disagree with the Rambam, right? Even though there's Pshatim of the Rambam Vas Mernem Ye'on, which when I discuss what it means, loss of love, whether it's going to be miraculous or not, which is a whole different shir, and what the Machlekes is, and Vimer Halton, it's a fascinating conversation. But this prat, you see b'muchash that almost everybody disagrees with the Rambam, and there's so much more to say, and we'll get to it in another shir. But I want to conclude with the letter of the Rebbe. There's a letter of the Rebbe printed. I think it's from Tashat Hazayin. It's printed in Chelik Yud Gimel in the Rebbe's Igris. And the Rebbe writes to the guy that if you look around the world's b'chalal not ready for Mashiach. The Rebbe tells him. The Rebbe says the world, ba'ifin golui, the way it seems to the eyes. Right? The Rebbe tells him. The Rebbe writes these words: Matziv ha'olam ba'ifin kazesh, and it's not muksher. The Rebbe tells not to tshuva miteich ava. And the Rebbe says it's not even muksher for tshuva miteich yira. The only thing it's muksher for is yira al asar. I'm going to shoot you in the head if you don't do this. It's the only thing the world's muksher for. This is, I think, Tazayin. It's printed in Chelik Yud Gimel in Igris, Amud Shinun Dalet. And the Rebbe says the following words: Umei ha'amur raya, from what I'm saying is a raya v'hichocha neisefes. It's another raya, keneged elu, against those sha'imrim shegulas Yisrael tavi b'derech hateva ula'at la'at. Against those who think that Mashiach is going to come b'derech hateva, and slowly but surely, people believe in the Medina, right? But also l'maisa, those who are expecting Mashiach to come in such an oifen of b'derech hateva, the Rambam promises, right? So he says, misalmim, whoever tainas that's how Mashiach is going to come b'poil, misalmim mehamitzias, is ignoring the reality of the world. Look around you. And the Rebbe says, v'gam meha'avar, they're also being misalim, they're ignoring the past. B'yitzias mitzrayim, that we were in mem tashari tumah, and nevertheless, Hashem took us out. And the Rebbe says this is also Zagamkein Maina al Hashayla. This is also an answer to the question that people ask. Sh'im tim tzoloimer, that if you want to say Shashkafa an outzidakisi, that what I'm saying is true. And the Rebbe adds in the parentheses, V'hamizboinim b'yeshiras, whoever looks with a straight eye, efshar lovi la'ashkafa acheres. It's impossible to come to any other hashkafa. The Rebbe says, Imkein ma tikva yeshna sheyisukan ha'olam b'malchus shindal yud. What hope is there for the world? So the Rebbe says, Hamayna shekachi gulas and sheyizol. This is the way of the oifen of the gula of Yidden, that through Yidden the whole world that's kehedifayin yatzu kol tziveis Hashem eretz Mitzrayim, just like eretz Mitzrayim v'chulu. And not only the Rebbe holds this, every chored l'dvar Hashem and olam hazeh that you'll speak to, anyone who's an emes from a Yid, believes that aru manani shmaya, that we're going to go out of Golus, because we're ready for the Gula, Bepnimius we're ready for the Gula. And the world is really ready, Bepnimius v'chulu v'chulu. The Rambam's description of Mashiach has pratim like we're going to discuss, that we nem on, but the Nukud that the Mashiach's miraculous, Kimuvim v'gam pashut. And the Inyan, and of course we nem on with the Raivid. The problem of Mashiach ben Amesim, hoip nishtan. The fact that the Rambam halt anders, lost the Rambam Leben. The Rambam is entitled to his opinion. He always held his opinion. Mashiach is not going to do Eisis U'Meivsim. Mashiach doesn't have to do Eisis U'Meivsim. If you think he does have to do Eisis U'Meivsim, he says it's against the whole Torah. Kol Shekain Mashiach coming in Amesim, who Mashiach is the etzim of the whole Geula, is by the Rambam. He doesn't even, it's Nish Oil B'das B'chal, such a thing, the Shittas Rambam. Here we have Machlekes Rambam Ravid, and the Ikr is that Mashiach now, Meher of Yemen Amen.